I talk to kids all the time, and I have kids come up to me and say, "I'm going to have your job in 5 years," and I said, "If you truly think of that, you better become a banker or own a service station or something, because you ain't getting my job in 5 years." But I tell kids, and it's the same today as far as I'm concerned, as it was when I got out of Chapel Hill in 1965 and went to work at Channel 8 in High Point. You've got to be willing to go anywhere in the country to get a job. You've got to be willing to work for whatever they're willing to pay you within reason. It's awfully, awfully difficult. I don't know about other work because this is the only thing I've ever done. This is an awfully tough profession to get the first job. It's awfully tough because the competition is huge. So you have to have certain things that you're willing to sacrifice for the love of what you want to do. Another thing I tell kids, if a young man comes up to me, a college kid says, "I'm majoring in communications, I want to do what you do, I'm getting out of school this spring and I'm looking for a job, can you give me some advice?" And I give him those recommendations, and the other thing I tell him is, "Son, are you in love or are you married?" And if the answer is no and no, I shake his hand, I said, "You ain't gonna make enough money to support a wife for a while. So if you're involved with a young lady, you better find something else to do to begin with." But that's essentially what I tell kids today.
Or a rich young lady. Even if you get a wife, it can be problematic. My wife said to me one time, she said, "I think you love football more than you love me." And I said, "Well, I love you more than NBA basketball." But it's anyhow, I agree with Marty what you said, and also, kids today. Do you have a son or a daughter that's interested in doing that? Kids today are in unbelievable generations. This is the generation of electronic gadgetry. I bet you that young man sitting right out there, slumped down in his chair, is that your sister right there? I bet you within a couple of feet of y'all, there's a cell phone that could record, that has an application on it where you could record yourself doing a couple innings of a ball game somewhere. So young kids come to me and I say, practice. Start now. Go to a high school game, go to a Legion game, go to any game. Sit in front of the TV, make up a game. And then bring me the tape and let me listen to a couple minutes of it, and then I'll help you. And about 1 in every 100 that I've told that to shows up with a tape. Because it is hard. You do have to sacrifice. You got to tell your friends, "Hey, I'd like to throw the football with you under the street light tonight after dinner, but I can't. I got to go do a tape." So you got to have that want to, don't you think, Howard?
Yeah, and it's something that you just have to be dedicated to, and it doesn't matter, like Mick says, what level it's at. You just want to paint the picture. If you're doing radio, it's different in television in that you're painting the picture and you got to visualize and make that visualization for that listener, and you're talking directly to him and you're telling him what the picture is. And that's the first thing I tell usually guys who ask me, what is the most important thing in doing play-by-play? And to me that is just making sure you paint that picture and tell the score. Don't wait 10 or 15 minutes before you tell the score. Tell the score as many times as you can think of it, because the time left and the score is the most important part of any athletic contest, in my opinion.
Carl Hells, yes.
Howard, you and Marty both have a connection to WSTP. The third young man who did that was Bob Rathbun. Bob used to drive people crazy. He'd sit in the Legion stands with a roll-up program announcing into it. Everybody around him was going crazy. He did the same thing with his high school basketball, and that's how he got where he is.
Now, let me tell you a story about Bob Rathbun. I was doing Legion ball here at Rowan County, and here's this kid, he was like a bad penny. Every time you turned around, he showed up. And so finally, he and I got to talk, and I realized, I really felt intuitively that this guy had the inner workings to make it in the business, because here he was, a young kid, and he comes to every Legion game, and make a long story short, he got to the point, and he'd come to the ballpark at Newman Park and practice, and And so finally I said, you know what? I'm going to let you do an inning one night. And he did an inning, and he broadcast that season the only home run that Rowan County hit. And Joe Brown hit the home run. You remember, Coach? Only home run that Rowan County hit all year. I said, I'll be damned. You know, I don't even get a chance to call a home run. This little snot-nosed kid gets a chance to do it, and he did a pretty good job. And we all know how successful Bob has been since leaving Salisbury.
Gordon?
When I go back, I think about when Harvey was coaching football, and Lenore Ryan was a big game every year, and I'll never forget the offense that he concocted that one Saturday afternoon, the bear gun offense. I mean, they couldn't find their rear ends with both hands. Lenore Ryan couldn't. When he came out on that offense, and I think they scored the first time they ran the first time they came to that with that offensive set, and obviously went on to win the football game. It was exciting for me because he played a wide open brand of football. He had a quarterback, Harry Minokian, way back then. He had Ike Hill, who went on to play in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders and I think the Chicago Bears. And then in basketball, Sam had Dwight Durante and Garland Davis and just good players that came through the Catawba program. It was a perfect situation for me. I work with great coaches. I talked with Ray Oxendine on the phone a few times this week. I mean, Ray and I go back a long time. And I was just embraced by the coaches at Catawba. They made me feel like I was a part of that situation, and I just had great memories of doing their football and their basketball games in the 5 years I was here.
Bob? What's your first name, sir?
Bob.
Bob, are you suggesting that we need a performance review? It would be okay if you were. I just wanted to clarify. I don't know how yours is set up, Marty and Stan and Howard. I work for everyone. Somebody asked me one time, said, who's your boss at the Panthers? And I said, everybody from the Top Cats to Sir Purr, stadium ops, food and beverage, obviously Mr. Richardson. I think when you have that job, where you are, as Stan alluded to earlier, you are kind of closely identified with that particular team, that particular franchise. I think you have a responsibility to spread yourself out to where you're not really concerned with who your boss is, because you sort of work for everybody. If somebody needs assistance, if anybody needs any help in writing something, getting something publicized, then we're there to help until you reach the pinnacle of your profession like Marty. And then it flips around and everyone works for you.
We finished the answer to the question that Bob asked you. Besides Woody Durham, who were your idols, your icons, as a youngster coming up in this profession?
Well, who were your idols? And you were coming up. I idolized a present company excluded, of course. Kurt Gowdy. I'm 51 years old, and when I was a boy, all I ever wanted to be was the person that helped connect listeners and viewers and readers to an athletic event. And Kurt Gowdy's voice was magical to me. It had that raspy timbre to it, and I could listen to him still when I hear tapes of his voice doing a AFL game with Al DeRogatis or doing a baseball game. I just stop and listen to it. So he was definitely one. And the craftsmen, the good writers, guys like Dick Enberg, Vin Scully, the guys that can really tell a story, paint a picture, the guys that make you feel like they're not talking to you, but we're all just gonna visit a little bit today for this game. Those are the guys that I gravitate toward and like.